Hello there, Mad Mike here, and welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to go into, since it's kind of a slow news day, I wanted to go into a question. And that question is, should Warner Brothers decide to make the Batfleck movie? And by that I mean the original movie solo film they had planned for Ben Affleck's Batman. Now, as far as I'm just going to go a little bit into the production history because it does have a little bit of a production history. Is After Ben Affleck was cast, it was rumored that after Batman v Superman, he was going to get his own kind of solo movie that had him off doing his own thing, and he was originally supposed to face off against Deathstroke, which I admit I would have loved to see that because the only other time that I can remember fighting Deathstroke or seeing that fight really take place is like they did it a couple of times animated. I know it probably happened a few times in the comic books. I'm just not necessarily aware of that. And the Arkham games, Arkham Origins, you fight him, and I believe you also fight him in Arkham Knight at a point. But the Arkham Origins fight though is intense. I love that fight and the way that it's made up and the way it's choreographed. Um, but I think that would be really interesting, especially if you got Joe Manganiello to come back and be Deathstroke in that movie, because again, that was why you had that teaser in, I believe it was Justice League, where he's on Jesse Eisenberg's boat there, or I can't remember if it was that or if they used it as a extra credit scene for Batman v Superman, one or the other. But basically, I think that would have been a really awesome concept. Now the thing is that that was originally supposed to be the plan, but what wound up happening is after the theatrical failure of Justice League, Warner Brothers and DC decided to regroup and shake up their film slate. Now that meant canceling a lot of films and making up some new ones like Shazam. But one of those films that got the axe, or sort of got the axe, was the Ben Affleck Batman movie. And that also had to do with the fact that, too, he was struggling with alcoholism at the time and he eventually would check into rehab. Ben Affleck, that is. And because of that, they kind of lost him because originally he was supposed to write, direct, and star in the film. That was the original contractual agreement between the studio and Ben Affleck. But because of the rehabilitation and stuff, slowly it started to go. At first it was he was going to direct it, then it was. Then Matt Reeves comes in to direct it, who's directing the Batman now. Then after that, then you had the fact that he's not. He's just going to be starring in it. He's not going to be writing it. Matt Reeves is going to write it, and then along with some other people. And then it eventually developed to the point where he was in rehab. He was no longer going to be in the movie, and the movie was being retooled and reworked. And that was also around the time we got the Robert Pattinson casting. And I did a video about that at the time. And I don't mind the Pattinson casting, to be honest. I think he's a very good actor. I think he's tried to separate himself a lot from the Twilight role. I know there's been a lot of things about not working him not working out and stuff like that. Now I will give this to Ben Affleck though. He got massive for that role. His body transformation to become Batman in Batman v Superman was amazing. And the scene that he actually has, like the workout scene that you see him do in that movie, is ridiculous. Well, I mean, obviously the stuff that he's doing is ridiculous. I think people tried doing something like that, and it was not physically possible. But he did get himself very, very ripped to be in that movie. And he does fill out that suit rather well. So it was one of those things where I give him credit for doing that, but at the same time, most Batman stars, a majority of the stuff is the suit. A majority of the way that character looks and moves and operates is the suit. So you need to be fit, but you don't exactly have to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger levels of bodybuilder to play Batman, even though in reality he basically has the strength of that. Or I shouldn't say in reality, but in terms of the DC universe, he basically has the strength of Arnold Schwarzenegger. But he does not. But the thing is that you can't translate some of that stuff into actual film in terms of like actually having the actors do those things. That's why you have CGI as a bit of a crutch for certain things. Now the like I said, I don't mind the Batman movie. I think it's probably going to be good. I want to go see it, and I really like the first trailer. But we're going back to the question of the Batman movie with Ben Affleck. Now, after that project was changed and scrapped, that was before the Snyder Cut and all that stuff. But now that the Snyder Cut has come and gone, Ben Affleck has done reshoots for that as Batman again, and there's been a lot of people that have wanted him to come back to the role. I would actually really like to see him come back to the role, and that is also the other thing too is that he is going to be in the upcoming Flash movie alongside other original Batman, Michael Keaton, the original film Batman, I should say, because you had Adam West and stuff before that, but. As far as like the Tim Burton verse Batman, so now you have this whole dynamic. I'm very interested to see how that's going to work. Now, I know he didn't have an extreme amount of filming, but again, this is the Flash movie. This isn't, you know, the Batverse, the movie, or something like that, where we're just getting a bunch of different versions of Batman, although that would be hilarious. This is the Flash movie. Batman is a pivotal character in that movie. He's a major supporting character, but he is not the main character. So you also have Ben Affleck has to share the screen with Michael Keaton as well. So I understand why he only had like a week or two worth of filming on that movie. Even so, he has described the experience as being very lovely, and it's fun. It was fun to come back, especially after the debacle that was Justice League, which was his last major outing as the character, other than the reshoots for Justice League. And I really actually would like to see him do another movie as Batman if he thinks that he can. It's a good. I like his Batman. I know that a lot of people have problems with his Batman, and that is fine. I like his Batman. I think that physically he's very very good at the role. He's definitely a beefier Batman than we're used to, but I don't mind that. I like Ben Affleck also playing Bruce Wayne. I think that was a really great casting as well. I think he does a very good job of playing Bruce Wayne. He's also one of the first Batman to realize, hey, I don't have to talk like I'm gargling rock salt all the time. Instead, I just have a voice modulator and it makes me sound like a demonic psychopath. Which again, that makes sense with Batman. Um, I give Snyder a lot of credit for certain things that he actually did with this character, and certain things that Affleck himself had some input on. And that's the other thing too is that, and again, I think this was a rumor, but I know this was actually I know this was a rumor. I can't remember if this was actually confirmed, but it was a very heavily rumored that the warehouse scene in Batman v Superman, which I will say is probably the best Batman fight scene that has ever been put to film. That scene, which is amazing, was ghost directed by Ben Affleck. And for the term ghost directing, people who don't know what that means, it basically means that somebody else is credited with directing the scene, but the person who actually directed it is somebody else. So it's kind of like ghost directing and ghost writing, same kind of thing. Is like somebody is doing this for somebody else, and they're not getting credit for it, or they don't want credit for it. And I think Ben Affleck was the one that directed that scene, which is amazing because I love that. That was probably my favorite scene in that movie. Aside from the Batman Superman fight is pretty good too. I like that fight even though it's a little nah at some points. But regardless, I think it would be interesting. I think you can get Joe Manganiello back pretty easily. Ben Affleck is already back in the suit. Maybe you could sweet talk him into coming back in for another movie or two. But this is also the other thing is that this is igniting the Snyderverse argument again because a lot of people. Warner Brothers basically said that they were going to do the Snyder cut of Justice League and then they weren't going to do anything after that. And a lot of people started pushing because Snyder originally planned on Justice League being 3 movies because the studio originally wanted a trilogy, and then they cut that down to 2 and then eventually to 1. What this was actually supposed to be 2 movies basically, but there's been a lot of people pushing because they want to see where that universe was going to go. I would agree with that in just terms of my own personal opinions on the subject. It's no secret, I really, really enjoyed the Snyder Cut, even though I thought Army of Darkness sucked ass. Or not Army of Darkness, Army of the Dead. The follow-up he did to that, the zombie movie with robot zombies that made absolutely no sense. He I really like that movie, and I would like to see where that goes. And I don't really think they have to do a whole lot to tailor that version into the universe. There's not really much that it ends with that you really need to address. And then the Flashpoint movie can probably just, smooth any of those things over since it's supposed to be a soft reboot anyway. But again, I would really like to see a solo outing with Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne, because that's the other thing too is we haven't gotten that so far. Like all the other Batman, all had their own solo films. Ben Affleck so far has not had one. He had Batman v Superman, where he's sharing the screen with Superman, obviously. Justice League, where again he's sharing the screen with all those other superheroes. Um, the He has like a very very small role in the first Suicide Squad movie, and now he's going to be in this film, which is again another ensemble film. So I would like to see what he would do in a solo movie because I think it's really interesting, and I think that if they did decide to have him direct, I think that wouldn't be a bad idea either. He has won Oscars, so I mean it's not like I can fault the guy for that, even though I think his last movie. I forget something by night. It was a mobster film. It did not do very well. Um, but like I said, I would be actually very interested to see where this film series would go if they decided to do that. But I would like to see one outing with Ben Affleck as Batman in his own film. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you like Ben Affleck as Batman? Do you not like him as Batman? Do you think that he deserves a solo outing? Do you think he would go for a solo outing if they paid him enough? Put your thoughts in the comments below. As usual, I like to read them. Hit the bell for notifications. Hit the like button. Subscribe, and remember. I live my life free of compromise. Do you?